Oh, okay, we are live.
It's not even a three count. No, we weren't joking. He was counting off. He was like 1, 2, 3, and we go. You're like, no. Every week we start with Google. Please give us some kind of countdown or buffer for how this starts. It's
Yes,
crazy.
I've experienced a lot with Google, especially my Hangout I had on Wednesday, which I set up, but I couldn't start. I had to start another one. It was one for the Expendables, and I had a lot of people commenting, when's it going to start? And I'm like, I can't start my Hangout because Google says it's already finished. So anyway, welcome to weekly tech roundup with my very favorite and special guest. Please join me in wishing Mr. Juan Bagnell happy birthday.
Aw, you have to do that.
Yes, we
It's my
will.
birthday.
And if you can send him digital drinks or real drinks, be my guest. It's really early, but I figured, you know what? It's 6 o'clock somewhere in the world, and it's almost noon here. So you can start drinking as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Yeah.
I drank
So,
way too much last night. I had friends over and we went through 5 or 6 bottles of wine, and then for some reason we thought breaking out the bourbon would be a good idea after that.
woo! That is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's funny because I did because I do this thing every birthday. I like to do a bring your favorite bottle of wine under $15, and sometimes we'll even do bring your favorite bottle of wine under $10 just to see what people find. So I start every one of these like, oh, I'll just have a little bit of every single wine, and then by like glass number 6, I'm just like, let's just drop it. Let's do this.
That's
I'm a
good.
little slow today, is what I'm trying to say.
It's okay. It's okay. As long as you're in good spirits, all that matters. So a couple things. First off is the winner of last week's Hangout giveaway. We asked you to basically tell us what your most inappropriate app will be.
Well, and this was in response to that stupid sketchy app, which in the very beginning of the description of the app mentions how they're going to help you stay safe by racial profiling areas for you to avoid. So, considering that got approved, we wanted to know what is the most inappropriate app that you think you could come up with that would still get approved by, like the iTunes App Store or the Google Play App Store.
Mm-hmm. And we have our winner. Thank you very much, everyone, for just jumping in and commenting. There's a lot.
Yeah, this was one of our most popular questions from the Tech Fans.
Yeah, and I'll say the winner for this week is Silent Killax 37. And this was his app suggestion. He says, how about a no-comment dating app where people comment and rate each other on how they are in the bedroom, where you can filter people by ethnicity and sizes. So if you want a Latina with a 32C breast, or maybe you wanted some BBC action, you can just search for people in your area who want those requirements. Yeah, I mean, there are apps like that, but this is a dating app, so...
well, and for him to be so, I mean, like to note it so explicitly is what I think is kind of funny.
So Silent Killax, I think we know what he kind of wants, maybe. But congratulations, you win the Kingston. I believe it's the Kingston.
We have a Kingston secure digital flash, data traveler encrypted flash drive. So you have to put in a passcode to unlock this drive. And actually,
yes, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and I did a review of this, and it works really well. Like if you put in like the passcode wrong 10 times, it just nukes everything that's on the drive. It's actually really well done.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So, which means some of those your little ideas and fantasies, Silent Killax, you can write it and save it in there. Save it. So yeah.
Shoot us a DM so that we can get this sent out to you. And congratulations, and thank you everybody who put in other grossly inappropriate apps. Where was another one? Who was the one that I don't have it up in front of me? Who was the one
it's Bucket O Fail. So he goes, I'm not entering the giveaway, but I wanted to give.
You still entered the giveaway, but you are a runner-up.
Runner-up, yeah. He says, I think it would be an app that delivers daily illustrated sexual positions for senior citizens.
And that's grossly inappropriate.
Yes. So thank you very much. And Andrew posted an image of Juan's challenge that we talked about last week. So if you want to check it out, it's right there.
If that's a big if.
So we have a bunch of stuff this week. First thing is uselessness of the week. There were two I picked out. The first one comes from OnePlus later on you're going to see my first impressions of that either today or tomorrow, and I was really pissed that they did that just because this was very dumb. Dumb. OnePlus had a selfie contest, and this was targeted straight towards females. Basically saying, take a selfie of yourself, in some way or fashion, and we'll judge you on it. Kind of putting that whole, male sexist, idea really out in the open. I mean, we know it's there. We know it's already part of our culture, and we're trying to stem that. And then you decide to just say, "Hey, let's make a contest about it." You know what I mean? It's
right. And for a smartphone, playing a game of hot or not is completely inappropriate. Already, I would have had issues even if it were just like, "Hey, women, now only it's ladies' night for 1+1, so that's how we're gonna give out the next batch of invites." But it's getting to the point now where they've come up with so many bad ideas to promote their phone, and they're still not openly selling them to the public, that I'm starting to question whether or not they're actually capable of delivering the phone at the price at any kind of consumer scale.
Oh, yeah, mind you, this is not for you to win the phone.
No.
This is for you to win an invite to buy the phone. Again, the same stupidity. So it says the top 50 most liked women would earn a T-shirt, aka it's almost like saying we're T-shirt contest. That's literally how I see it. And if there are at least 500 entries, OnePlus promised an invite to purchase its one smartphone for your favorite photo. And this is not something that they just said, "Hey, everybody post your favorite selfie." It's not like they just said, "Hey, post your favorite selfie," and they internally skewed it, right? They just went, nah, there.
Yeah.
We're going to be sexist. Not even sexist. I don't even call it just sexist. We're going to be very, very dumb. Very dumb. Very dumb. And it's the kind of thing that I when you see my first look at the device, I am going to trash them for this on that video. Just because, to me, it's a really dumb thing. It really is, where, you know what, you're doing these crazy invites, you're doing all these things, and, fine. People who have your device say, "Oh, the device is very good." Now, instead of you at least trying to build some momentum off that, you decided to create this contest that was just foolish. I mean, granted, the very same day they pulled the contest down and apologized, because literally it hit the web and everybody was like, really?
Yeah. But, I mean, because after the Smash Your Phone promotion and now doing this women's selfie thing, you question, why isn't it that you're working with someone in PR that can stir up a little bit more promotion in a way that's more fun or interesting? And I get trying to do things that'll get you blog headlines, and I get trying to do things that'll maybe rock the boat a little bit, like, hey, this is kind of titillating, this is kind of salacious, and that'll cause people to share it, and a few people will be outraged. But you completely missed the mark on this one. And you've missed the mark a couple times now. And it still keeps coming back to the fact that, it's kind of like when someone who isn't prepared for some social media success lands something viral, and then they try and follow it up. So they had this incredible social media buzz going with the fact that their phone was going to be really cheap and have all these cutting-edge internals, and then they landed another victory by talking about how their phone was going to run CyanogenMod, and really got the Android Elite and like the XDA dev people like just on board. Like, they were excited about this phone. And they still can't get this phone out to anybody with any kind of scale. Like, you can't just buy one. And so at this point, it's make or break, I think, for 1+1, because they've been having screen quality issues, they've been having power management problems. They're talking about dumping CyanogenMod and going with some custom Chinese build of Android. And time's up, man. Time's up. You can't keep talking about the phone as if it will someday. It's right around the corner. It's going to be coming out soon. we're sort of tired of talking about something, and you're coming into one of the most brutally exciting months
Oh,
for
oh,
smartphones.
we're going to get into that. Exactly.
So yeah, I completely agree. That was my number one uselessness. You also had a second uselessness this week.
Yes, I had a second one just because it kind of ties into this in my mind. You know, when you promote a lot of sexism and and you technically degrade women, you get things like this. I'm not saying this is a direct correlation, but this is just what I put it as, like, you know what, you do this, you might lead to this other side of the spectrum, starting from one point. And this has to do with the MMA fighter War Machine. He
Hmm.
basically, I'm going to show the pictures. It's out there on the web, and basically he brutally beats. I mean, when I say beat, I mean he beat the crap out of his ex-girlfriend, and he was on the run throughout the week, and he got apprehended yesterday, which thank God he did. But
Yeah.
this is, to me, you're an MMA fighter. I'm not even going to do it, but I mean, you're not just a dude. You're a dude who has skill sets that is aimed at beating other people. Why would
Yeah.
you go and beat up a woman? I mean, seriously, why? And we can go into a long discussion that, I mean, this is more than uselessness. This is just pretty much disgusting. But
Right.
the reason why I wanted it up here was to say, look, we can't start, we can't just, I wouldn't say necessarily separate, but we have to understand there are many causes and effects, and you have to treat women with respect. You don't put little things like selfies and say, oh, that's a little harmless, and then you see other correlations down the road, because
Well,
we
and
live in a
and the
society
response
that.
is just completely not equal to whatever slight that she might have caused.
Yeah.
I hate situations like this, because the second it comes up that this guy savagely tortured and beat this woman, that the
Christy Mack
second
is the name, yeah.
well, the second that this comes out, it's like we can't rush to writing headlines about how she was a porn star fast enough, and like
Oh
that
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
matter. It doesn't.
yeah.
It's
That
completely
doesn't.
irrelevant to the case. And then it's the, well, what caused him to do it? Now, having studied a little psychology, I'm not a psychologist. I've studied just enough psychology to make myself dangerous to myself. Um, I feel it's always very important to explain action, like to understand why he did this, to dissect what it is that caused him to do this. There is nothing that she could have done which warranted the beating that she got, and especially the horrific psychological torture that he put her under.
Yeah.
Now, there were all of these stories that came out, and some rumors about whether or not she was cheating on him, or he walked in on her sleeping with another guy, and that warrants a harsh response. A harsh response which might involve mean words. A harsh response which might warrant throwing something glass at a wall. A harsh response that might mean punching a car. Still, there's still nothing that she
No,
could
no,
have
no.
done to
Let me give the
the
best
reaction that
advice
he
to
got.
to any guy out here, right? If you are with a woman, whether it's your wife, your girlfriend, someone you're dating, or somebody you know, and you're in a harsh argumentative situation, where it's argument, whether you catch them cheating. First of all, if they're cheating, let me just say what it is. This is the best excuse for you to go, thank you, honey, bye,
Yeah.
walk out. Because you know why? There are better things for you. Just I'm
Hmm.
telling you that. There are better things for you, including meeting new women down the line. That's one. Two, if you're in a situation where it may look like it becomes physical, the best thing to do is say, thank you very much, open the door and walk out. Leave. Just turn around and leave. Because it doesn't matter how much they say. If you sit down there, you stay there, and you keep soaking it in. I don't know who you are or what your psychological framework may be, but you could break. So
Hmm.
the best thing, peace, open the door, go away, take that
Thank you,
drive,
Audi.
go. Oh, exactly, and that's what needs to happen. Because I mean, there are always two sides to a story. There's always, like I said, there's always reasons for actions, but there's also a reason for inaction in that situation. And take the
Yeah,
reason to just
you
not
you just got
act.
you just got really Bruce Lee on that. The reason for action and the reason for inaction. Well done. But also it was a really upsetting story when you read her accounts of what happened. But I think the
Yeah.
most upsetting thing whenever something like this goes down is the media response has to be as controversial and as sort of denigrating as possible. And that's what's really frustrating is we can't even go through a story where someone is clearly in the wrong without doing a little victim blaming and some character assassination for the person who had to live through this. So, I mean, she could be an awful person in real life. I have no idea. That still doesn't matter. It's not important. It's not germane to the story in the slightest. When especially when you see the hospital photos of what happened to her. So, I think we're done talking about this.
Yes, we are. And moving on to a brighter note, first off, Lou Rod says, "Happy birthday, Mr. Van."
Oh, Lou, you're a sweetheart. Thanks.
Yes, and moving from birthday to people, maybe some people's birthday wishes, Samsung announced the Galaxy Note 4 event. We mentioned that last week,
Mm-hmm.
but this week we have leaked images of the device.
Ooh.
And I can tell you it's got an all metal frame.
Yeah,
And
I'm really happy to see Samsung stepping up and playing with some different build materials.
yeah, it looks like it's all metal, kind of taking the cue from the Galaxy Alpha, which I think that the Alpha was probably something they had in mind for a while, and they might have just had some issues or something why it did launch kind of push so late towards the Galaxy Note, because it looks like this is taking a lot of cues from that in terms of materials and builds altogether. So we have let me just show you some more images here if I can find my image. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So this is the rear of the device. You can see, it's full letter again, or different type of faux leather this time. It's not pimple dots on there.
They weren't pimple dots. They were Band-Aid dots. Come
Okay,
on.
okay, Band-Aid dots. Yeah, and from indications, they said it's rumor is a 60 megapixel camera with OIS. Maybe that's why the flash and the heart rate monitors moved to the left. I don't know exactly why, but I'm happy to hear OIS, and I think Samsung probably will go that route.
I really hope to see OIS, but it would also be really easy for Samsung. I mean, especially looking at that last photo of the rear of the device, it would be really easy for Samsung just to bolt on the camera module from the Galaxy S5, which doesn't have OIS. In fact, when you look at that little square there, it looks a lot like the camera module from the Galaxy S5. So I'm gonna put OIS into the I really hope it's true, but that's still a rumor category.
True, except the reason why I said it might be is because if you look at the lens, this is me speculating, even though it looks a little larger, and it looks like,
Well, it's also hard to tell scale on
true.
an angled photo of a phone that's going to be larger. But I mean, you can hold up the module on the Galaxy S5, and they look pretty similar. So I hope what you're saying though about them moving the flash and the heart rate sensor, that's not an ergonomic consideration for the phone being wider, that's something that they had to do to re-engineer the camera sensor. I mean, again, I'm on board. I am with you guys. I really hope, because this is already one of my favorite camera sensors, but it definitely needs to step up with some better low light sensitivity through hardware image stabilization.
Yeah, I don't have images, but I saw another image of the thinness of the device. The thing looks very thin, which kind of, I remember I did a video talking about how they're looking at ultrasonic sensors for the display with the S Pen to reduce the size and stuff like that. So I mean, I like what I'm seeing. Although there was also rumors. Actually, a filing came out for Samsung Galaxy Note Edge. So they still might be that wraparound display, edge wraparound display on there. Might be a variant.
And I'm always curious to see what they might do with something like that. Although, I mean, you've heard me get cranky and rant about bezels being too thin and no bezel phones, and I start to sound like John C. Dvorak. It's different than what I know. That's not good. So that's my John C. Dvorak voice. By the way, you just sort of raise your left hand and wag it around in the air while you talk like you're a 1930s news broadcaster. I'm John C. Dvorak.
Yeah.
We have a comment here from Caleb Mac Don Chadha. I totally butchered your name. I apologize. Will the Note 4 have the same problems the iPhone had with signal loss thanks to the metal band? Which one we won't know until it's actually out for real. But I think after the iPhone 5 and the HTC Ones, there's enough info out there on how to do a metal body phone without messing up your antennas too badly.
Yeah. So I think that should be, at least it should be all set on that one. So so that is the Moto.
That's the Galaxy Note 4.
Yes, sorry, and I just jumped myself.
We're looking ahead. We have a list of things that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
We actually have some pretty good tech news this week. So
Motorola decided, you know what, everyone's doing events left and right. We want to get into the fun ourselves, and they announced the Moto event on the 4th of September, which is basically the day after Samsung. And Motorola says, choose your fun. I just need to find the image if I can actually find it here. Boy, this is what happens when you screen share with Google. It's really weird.
Yeah. Well, and the option to share is like, here's 6 different windows, and you're like, is that the window that I?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I opened it up. I still can't find what I'm sharing. I'm going, okay, it's not here. Okay, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to put it in full screen here, and I'm going to hit share. There we go. Done.
Now you're thinking.
So can you see the screen there? There we go. So it says,
yes.
Yeah, so it says choose your fun, choose to have fun and join us. September 4th in Chicago, and there are 4 devices there, basically in that animated GIF. There's a watch, Moto 360, which means it's going to be announced. There are 2 phones. There's one on the lower right says G, and on the top left says X, and new headphones. So basically, they just confirmed they're going to announce the Moto X Plus 1, Moto G2, as well as, of course, officially introduce the Moto 360 and a new pair of headphones, most likely from their partners, Seoul Republic, I'm thinking. So, what do you think about Motorola just saying, you know what, here it is, everything? It's almost like their last hurrah before they go to Lenovo.
Yeah, I've been curious if there was something about the Lenovo deal that was keeping them so quiet up to now, because there was a point there where the Moto X had come out, and we were playing around with the Moto G, and we were talking about other entry-level smartphones, where I felt Motorola was doing a really good job of building up momentum to start building the brand back up again. And there was that period of time where they were one of the fastest-growing brands in Europe behind LG. They were posting some great numbers on their entry-level phones. So then they went radio silent after the Lenovo deal was announced. So I was a little worried that, we were going to see them instantly get swallowed up by Lenovo, or just completely rebrand or rebadge all of these devices, and that we would lose out on some really great phones. I still think the Moto X was one of the best phones of last year. So to see this is kind of exciting. This could be one final surge of Motorola as being a Google-owned entity, and then that will hopefully carry us over into Lenovo, because Lenovo just posted numbers that their the phones outsold
smartphones, yeah.
Phone sales outsold PC sales, and that tablets were up something ridiculous too, like 40% over this period last year. So they're becoming one of the fastest growing brands in the mobility space. So that could be a really exciting sort of blend of synergy. Motorola building up a little momentum, Lenovo's been building up a lot of momentum, and just smashing those 2 brands together could be a train wreck, or it could be really exciting to see what they might come up with.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's very true, and it's good to see that. So they're doing this big hurrah. So we'll see if we can get some stuff for you. But a couple of things added to that is rumors of the Moto G2 is going to ship September 10th. So it kind of makes sense, because Motorola also has been trying to do this quick to ship. Everybody's been trying to do this quick to ship. Reports last week was that Samsung is announcing on the 4th, and they're shipping on the 15th, between the 15th to 28th. So everybody understands, which Apple has done for years. I don't know why it took them so long to realize. once you tell consumers, it's one of the reasons also I think Microsoft's Surface Pro 3 has done very well. I mean, besides that, it's a thinner and also much more polished device. But
Is that you could actually get it?
Yeah, when you tell people, okay, you can pre-order it now, and it's not just pre-order; it's coming in a month, even if it's a month or a month and a half. But you have an exact date.
Mm-hmm.
People go, oh, okay, all right, fine, I'm done. I booked, ordered, cool, I'm good. I expected to see it here on the 10th or 11th. Perfect.
Sign me up.
Exactly. So
I'll do that like flapjacks, yo. Let's do this.
So the rumor is the Moto G will ship on the 10th for 250 euros, which is a little steep for a Moto G2. That's according to rumors, and that's like $334. So, are you pushing the Moto X1 to a different price range at that point, or is that just maybe?
To be fair, I would totally see where the Moto G would ship for €250 and then sell here in the States for like $275. Just because companies can't seem to figure out exchange rates, and people in other parts of the world different from the United States always seem to get screwed on that conversion.
Yeah, true. Hey, how's it going, Warren?
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah. So yeah, we were talking about Motorola's event on the 4th.
What are you looking forward to in new Motorola devices, Warren?
I don't know. There's not much, I think, to look forward to. This is like the last hurrah device. It's probably just going to look fairly similar to the original Moto X, which a lot of people did like, and will probably be more of a spec bump internally, but it's going to be mostly focused on probably that watch more than anything else.
No, well, according to the invite, it's 4 things. So it's the watch, the G, the X, and then new headphones. So I think they will give probably enough time for all. I think they probably want to tie the watch to the X in some form or fashion. So
but I'm pretty sure most likely that it's all going to be centered around that watch. Like everything will be centered around that in some way, shape, or form. So they might, use the watch as the main focus and talk about the X, and then talk about the G, and then talk about probably just a Bluetooth headset that they're gonna add on with it. But I still think the Moto 360 is gonna be their main focus on during their event, because that's really like where all the attention's going right now. The X Plus One is, it's another Motorola phone. That's why I don't think it's going to look any more different from what the last one was.
No, I don't think so. But I think it all depends on where you price that as a phone unlocked, right? If you price it well enough, then it hits that market, and as we talked about OnePlus One and how they try to and do the stupid invites. Motorola's like, hey, there's no invite.
Did you guys already talk about OnePlus One already?
Yeah, we talked about the uselessness at the very beginning of the show. So I think that's something where, because I think a lot of people are also looking for devices now, especially in the US. People are getting more educated that you can buy, say, something like a Nexus, a device for $350, and you're done, right? You don't have to go to your carrier. So they entering into that market and pushing more, say, hey, you can do it in the US with a US branded, company like Motorola, can go a long way for them. So, we'll see what they announce on the 4th, but I think we do have a very clear idea on those terms. Also on the 4th, Microsoft announced it has more to show at IFA, and all speculations point to the 730 and the 830. From indications, the 730 is the selfie phone with a 5-megapixel front-facing camera. We've got the Snapdragon 400 specs in there. The 830, according to some rumors yesterday, I think that was on WP Central, will also have a 5-megapixel front-facing camera. Will have a 20-megapixel sensor at the back. And this kind of ties into what Elop has said. He said you're trying to bring more of those high-end specs into their mid/low range devices, where you will have a camera that you expect on a 9 or 10 device. So what do you guys think about Microsoft making that transition of pushing more of the specs down to lower tier devices?
I'll let Warren go first.
It's just interesting. It's nice that they're doing that to try to pack in more value. The key thing is, will these reach the US and what price they will reach at, and And I don't know. It's just like it's another Nokia phone, Windows phone. It's
But
like
but those are the phones that sell the most for them. That's the thing, and that's
everywhere but the United States.
yeah. But it doesn't matter whether it's everywhere in the United States. It matters you're selling units. If you are selling units, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, the 520
Well,
sold.
I wouldn't say it doesn't matter if you don't sell in the United States, because that's kind of part of the problem why they can't get on the way they want to get on is because they don't hit any major mature market very well. They've been hitting a lot of the entry level, the smaller markets, the emerging markets. They're hitting very, very well there because of the pricing that they can put down with it. Hopefully, this will be at a good pricing too to bring more of those emerging markets maybe up a little higher in terms of specs, so they can get even better, apps and software that'll run better on it. Because that'll be pretty cool for them to be able to do some good Xbox gaming on it. I suppose that normally you can only get on a 930, which is more expensive than in a mature market like the United States. If you can get that on like a 730 that's meant for their market, and they're getting good specs as well too, that's gonna even entice more people to develop better software for it. So it'd be nice to see it that way. But
I mean, rumors are the
that
730 is going to be priced at 240 unlocked for the device. Um,
they're
you know,
just turning to me into like the old Nokia where there's like 500 million numbered phones. And it's just like I can't keep up anymore. I don't know what is what anymore.
Actually, no, no. I mean, the 5 and 6 are your low. Your 7 and 8 is your mid, and your
It's
nine
already
and
too
10 are
many. It's already too
nine and
many.
your 9 and your 10 are your highs, and your tens actually are your phablets, pretty much at this point.
It's already too many. It's already too many.
Yeah, I kind of feel, especially because we still see some issues, and I think this is a little bit more America centric, but we do see some issues with every other manufacturer having difficulty in the mid range. So I'm not skeptical, because I think they will sell well overseas, but I don't think they'll make a particularly big splash here in the United States. Not because they're not going to be good devices, but one, Nokia still has brand issues here in the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
Windows Phone has brand issues
Brand
here in
issues,
the
yeah.
U.S.
I wrote an article 3 years ago about Nokia's issues with branding in the United States. They were going to have a problem, and they're still having that same problem to this day.
And I think they're doing great outreach, and I actually have a pretty good relationship with some of the people at Nokia. But
Yeah.
I think we've seen consistently consumers are it takes longer and longer for them to warm up to something new because we've seen so many failures in the past. Palm, HP.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, and BlackBerry, like what the hell happened to BlackBerry? So I think that there are problems in the U.S. with a 7 series and 8 series phone will be triplicate. It's going to be the brand issues of Nokia, the brand issues of Microsoft, and then phones in the mid-range just don't do well here anymore.
Oh no,
And so
definitely
something
true. But
exciting.
in terms
I
to
think I think the 630 has a far better chance of selling well
Selling,
here,
yeah,
like the 520 did.
yeah, no, in terms of the I know, to Warren's point of being too much, the 730 will never come out in the U.S. Same thing, because the U.S. numbers are only
I
7 numbers.
bank any amount of money that AT&T will, or somebody will throw money at it and want it, because as soon as the second it gets popular overseas, here's a chunk of money. Can you bring it over here? That's what they've done with every single one of their other devices that weren't meant for the U.S. Then all of a sudden pop up on a carrier here.
Which one? The 620 never came out here.
Isn't there a variant of that here, like the 6?
No. 520 is the biggest phone they have, and that was the first one.
No, they have a variant of that here that got released. I don't know if it was on a mid-range
I
carrier.
thought the last one that actually had proper carrier branding was the 710 on T-Mobile, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, 710, but that was Windows 7.
That was Windows 7. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 7. I remember the 710. I remember the Windows 7.
I liked the 710. I thought that was a good one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice phone, but it was also half them was more Windows 7. 7.5.
Oh yeah, no, totally. I'd never go back.
Was
I
just
have my
plaguing
900 around here somewhere.
was plaguing the whole sense. But I mean, I agree to point that mid-range phones just won't do it in the U.S. Unless, of course, they are pushing direct sales to some degree altogether. But You know, if it all depends on what the 8 series if the 8 series comes to US and is priced low, because if you sell it as being your 5 megapixel selfie with a 20 megapixel rear and it's $300 unlocked, that might be a different case scenario. Or, you know, it's super cheap when you price it in a carrier. That all depends. But I think in the US here for Windows Phone is literally your 600 series or whatever high end phone that comes out on the carriers altogether. Let's see. There was rumors this morning from Pocket Now. They took it down about a Moto S, and this was basically a Verizon themed device that had the specs of an LG G3 with a QHD display and all that. I would reference it, but it's not there anymore. So I figured either because I woke up and I was dreaming and I saw that on Pocket Now.
Is that the same thing? Because you said Moto S, but I think it was Android Headlines just threw out specs for the alleged Verizon Motorola Droid Turbo.
Maybe
that may be something similar?
Yeah, that may be something similar to it. But
I'm kind of curious.
I was hoping that Motorola will go away from that, especially specifically Verizon-themed smartphones.
Right. That's what I think is kind of interesting. Is I think Verizon is sort of the last company that's still pushing for these like well-known companies to make exclusively branded handsets.
Yeah, we have HTC W8 coming out next week.
Right.
Too. Yeah, and that's strictly on Verizon, at least in the US anyway.
That's what I think Verizon wants. I mean, that's just it's in their brand. They're a company that they want to look different and separate out different. They just want to have. If they could have a whole entire phone line that does not relate to anyone else's phone line, right, they would do it. If they didn't have to carry the iPhone or the Galaxy S line of phones, they would not do it. They wouldn't care if people wanted it. They would just offer something else.
I wonder how their branded tablet is selling. Don't they have
None.
No, not good.
Nobody's buying them.
We have a question here from Caleb Mack. I'll skip the rest. He says Motorola making the Nexus 6. Anything new on it? I mean, some of the benchmarks of the Nexus 6 that talked about.
Yeah, we've seen benchmarks on Shamu, so it's we're trying to glean what performance might be, and based on that benchmark, we can maybe say it won't have a Quad HD screen, maybe.
Some of the benchmarks surely did have, so I mean, I don't even know. It might be that turbo.
Oh, I was saying like looking at the actual performance, like unless there's some new chipset or there's new there's something, a new processor that we've just never seen before. The performance doesn't seem indicative of a Quad HD screen like the LG G3. Okay. It seems, again, rumor and leak and speculation, that it would be more in line with a high performing 1080p displayed phone.
But,
which is fine.
On phones, I mean, like, I know there are going to be people who disagree with me, who maybe have tremendously more amazing eyesight than I could ever hope to have, even though I've got 20/20 vision. That the LG G3 screen is far and away far superior to any 1080p display, and I just don't see it.
Yeah, it is. It is when you
wallpapers. Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh yeah, it is. Trust me, it is. I have it here. It looks great when there's Quad HD content on it.
High-res wallpapers on that thing is beautiful, man. It's sharp.
Okay.
And your regular wallpapers look like shit.
Yeah, they seriously do.
I like, well, and the thing is, I mean,
they don't look that bad.
Looking at super high resolution photos, and I'm comparing it to a nice, even like the G2, a 5.2 inch 1080p display, and I'm looking at the same picture on the screen side by side, and I don't see a tremendous amount of difference, especially when I'm holding them out at arm's length. I have to get them on top of my nose to see any benefit to that extra resolution.
You know what? We need to set up a Kickstarter to raise some funds for you to get some LASIK, so you can get that Quad HD vision in there.
I need Quad HD vision. That's my problem.
Exactly.
I see, and you know what? I might need to just jump directly to 4K. You know, like I don't
Exactly.
want
I
to
mean,
be
yeah.
left
While
out
we're raising the
when
money, right? It might as well just make you
might as well
4K
go whole hog.
vision. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what's needed here.
But I mean, like it's definitely different though than when we went 2560 by 1440 on displays. You know, like especially on laptop displays, that made I think a humongous difference at that 10 to 12-inch diagonal. I still doubt that there's as much benefit on a 5-inch screen.
Yeah. All right, cool. Moving on to some gaming. You know, this rumor has been out for a while that Destiny cost 500 million to make, and Engadget had some stuff on it this week talking about the game does cost 500 million, but it's part of a larger plan. What do you think about Destiny's price tag? It's pretty much at this point the most expensive game currently on the market.
And this is where I mean, like again, if we're gonna listen to Activision PR and the statements put out by Bobby Kotick, the game doesn't cost 500 million. The franchise will cost 500 million.
Yeah.
Well, they're assuming that it's going to cost. That's like an estimate.
Right.
That it's
And so that is also going to be their advertising, part of their advertising budget, and we know advertising budgets are ridiculously expensive as well, and also the pizza fund so that the developers can get pizza.
I'm wondering if they're gonna, since they've all but pretty much said play this on PS4, they're pretty much on their advertising. Oh, but they really said that. I guess Bungie's a little bitter about some things, even though Microsoft, the only reason it exists is because of Microsoft. But that's going to be interesting to see where this game goes. If this turns into the next Halo type game, or this turns into that big franchise, or does Halo come out, smack the crap out of it, and they get beat by their own creation, which would be absolutely hilarious.
See, one thing I'm very interested to see is now that we know the numbers, right, and we know how gaming media and gaming reviews go, are we going to see a lot of skew, this is the greatest game ever type reviews? Because if you're going to spend $500 million, you're going to make sure, any company, I don't care who you are, you're going to make sure that at least things are skewed in towards your favor.
Oh, so yeah, they're gonna buy out some opinions, I would say.
Are we going to see that? Because
happens a lot.
My own take on Destiny is that it's a cool game. The shooting mechanics are not cool in my view. A lot of people have, I've seen videos, people are like, oh, this is an awesome game. I'm playing. I'm like, as much as I don't like Halo, I'll play Halo first before this. And it's still a nice game. I like the overall story aspect that you're trying to build in. So it's the beta. Of course, they have a lot of time to fix, some of my own issues. But I'm going, if you're spending 500 million, am I going to start see, before this game comes out, I see best game ever in decades, best game since Mario 3, that kind of thing.
But the funny thing is with those type of things, the consumers and gamers are now, the ones with sense, are now getting very skeptical on those things when those type of reviews start to pop out. Because they're very, very skeptical on it now, because they know that a lot of that happens in this industry, especially in the gaming industry, where there is a lot of, quite honestly, paid reviews that go out there that are skewed to make the game look good or better than what it truthfully is, and we know that's happened to some games before too. My take on any of these first-person shooter games. They're all the same damn thing, and a different wrapper sold 7 times a year that everybody buys over and over again, but can't seem to want to spend $50 on Xbox Live Gold subscription that lasts them a year. But they'll buy Call of Duty and Call of Duty clones 5 times a year. So, that's just my take on any of these. So, I think we're going to see a lot of that, to your point. But I just want to see if isn't Halo 4 due out this year too?
No, Halo 4. Halo 5 is next year. Halo, the anniversary edition of Halo is this year, and they upscale the graphic. I mean, literally, they put everything that they ever released plus all the maps in one game, playable. I mean, if you're a Halo fan,
if that does anywhere to half amount of the sales that Destiny does, that's a problem. That is a huge problem.
I don't know. I don't know if like Destiny is $1 billion game and
Yeah, but if
Halo's
Destiny,
a $500 million game, I don't think that's a problem.
no, 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 no. Let's say if Destiny sells, I don't know. Let's say it sells 10 million copies. A new game sells 10 million copies. An old game, essentially, what that is, repackaged, redesigned out, and then bundled out, that everybody technically already has on Xbox. Let's say does 5 million. That's saying that there's still 50% of the audience out there that rather buy an old game than go play the new one out there. That's a problem.
No,
That's a problem.
I think in the Venn diagram of gaming, the 5 million people there will probably be a significant chunk of them will probably have also picked up Destiny. I mean, it's hard to say. It's like that Futurama episode where Bender and Fry are competing for Twitter followers, and they both get 1 million, and so Mom thinks, oh, well, I've got 2 million people that I can abuse, and then one of her sons has to go, well, we don't know. There's probably some overlap. You can only say that you have between 1 and 2 million, and then she slaps him in the face.
I remember that.
No, I don't think we can draw a commentary on how Destiny performs based on some other game's sales. I think what will be telling is, if Halo
how much is that Halo game going to be? How much is it going to be?
No. If this Halo anniversary game sells well, then we can maybe start putting to bed one of these criticisms that the game producers say, and that there's no shelf life for older games, because that becomes one of their primary talking points whenever we start talking about how people are paid to make games. Like, all we can count on is this one big burst, and then afterwards there's no money left for old games.
That's because they can't get their cut out of the trade value. That is the whole issue with that.
And so I think there is a market for people who want to play older games. I think, again, you have to price them appropriately, and you have to give me something new with them, like this Halo version getting reskinned and getting new higher resolution textures and better looking maps and everything. But
have they priced how much that's going to be?
It's going to be full price.
So $60.
$60, yeah, but it's also 100 maps in there, and
it's 4 games,
and it's all the Halo games.
But I'm saying, if you're looking at Destiny, that's $60, and you're looking at Halo Anniversary, that's $60, and we're looking at, we should really compare to when it's hard to compare over time with these games because games can sell well over time. But let's take a look at a 3-month blast of when gamers are deciding which game they want to play, because they might pick up the other game, but they might wait till it's like $40 or $30, like until it's a little bit cheaper before they pick up.
I wouldn't say a direct comparison to the game. I think the only way you can probably compare it is on the Xbox itself, to say maybe if say for instance Destiny sold 2 million on the Xbox and Halo sold 10, 15, then that clearly just says that Xbox fans were like, Destiny,
are Halo fans.
I mean, or are Halo fans, or they just they don't care about Destiny as much.
Destiny clearly doesn't care about Xbox, because they've all but said that play this on the PS4. They literally have. True.
I
guess Bungie's still a little bit bitter about their whole deal, but like I said, you wouldn't exist without Microsoft. But
I really think if there were one metric that I think we could say would be damning, would be to look at playtime. If Destiny sells 2 million copies and this Halo Anniversary Master Chief Edition, whatever,
$60
sells 1 million copies, but we see that 1 million copies is matching playtime over 3 months to Destiny.
Which is what
a lot of people bought Destiny and put it down, and that's bad if you're trying to build a multi-year, a 10-year franchise.
Yeah, then the beta come out and everybody kind of played it, and then it just kind of.
Actually, the beta was still doing well in terms of
it still did well until they cut off. But it's something Microsoft has been pushing for the last 4 or 5 months about playtime. The Xbox has the most amount of playtime compared to the two consoles. They always talk about minutes played because they know they are beating the competition, saying, hey, we have the most people logged on Xbox Live, and also now you add into that EA service that they added into it, you're going to see more playtime with that. Because again, I just did a video on PlayStation Now. I felt like shooting myself making that video using that service. And I go, EA is ranked as one of the worst companies in the US. Like it's there at the bottom with Comcast, right? And EA decided to just take a Netflix approach and say, here are our games, you can play it as long as you pay $29 a year, and it's yours. So someone like me who likes to play FIFA, I don't have to buy the game anymore. But me playing one of the Battlefields basically covers my cost. Unlike going to PlayStation and paying almost $60 for a game because it's newer, and I'm going, I might as well just buy it. So those are the kind of things that where you take away playtime from people, because if you have a service where you're getting just Netflix type rentals or streaming, rentals of games, then yeah, I'm going to spend more time playing there than on PlayStation. So we'll see how it works out for Destiny and Halo Edition. But I have a sneaky feeling like Warren there is that you're going to see Halo do some very crazy numbers. And like Warren said, that's the game that's going to tell all those Xbox 360 users it's time to move over. It's time for you.
When that number jumps, and it's gonna jump, I want to know what the game press is gonna say once that number jumps, and all of a sudden the PS4 and Xbox One are a hell of a lot more closer than they thought it than they estimated to be. I mean, I want to know what their analytical expertise will be.
I'll play this one a bit more conservatively, because we said the same thing about Titanfall. That Titanfall was going to be the game that would finally convince Microsoft fans or Xbox fans to start moving up to the Xbox One, and those numbers did not bear out.
Who said that?
I said that.
The entire industry was talking about, oh, well, Titanfall is going to be the first truly next gen game, and that'll finally start moving some more Xbox Ones. I mean, we can Google search for that time frame, and you'll find any number of articles. Not anyone here, but we can Google that and find it. That was a very common talking point, and there was a lot of disappointment when Xbox One sales didn't spike considerably after the release of Titanfall. So I'll be very doubtful if older, cleaner, newer versions of Halo substantially move Xbox consoles.
No, it wouldn't be,
because they're not new games. They're
the point.
Prettier versions of games that people on the 360 already have.
That's the point right there. It's not a new franchise. It's a franchise everyone's familiar with and already can buy in. That was the biggest problem with Titanfall. It was like Titanfall's a new franchise. New franchises just don't do well.
You're making a purchasing decision where if you're really a Halo fan, you probably already have these games for the 360. So if you want prettier versions of them, it's not just getting this new Master Chief Edition or whatever they're going to call it. It's you have to buy a new console.
But you got to remember,
Master Chief.
But you got to remember, I think all those versions are also going to have the ability to play on Xbox Live. So like I remember like Halo 1, I think got recently. Halo 1, Halo 2 got shut down, and people really still liked playing those.
Halo 2 is one that you can't go back and
play online. So a lot of people might want to go back to playing those games online against. Because I think the online play is like just, I guess, significantly different between all the Halos. I don't really play Halo that much, but I guess a lot of people play different versions.
Halo 2 was the one that a lot of people were clamoring for it to stay as long as it they could. So I think you're right, having that back there, because it's the multiplayer that really, for any first-person shooter, really drives its sales and also drives longevity. So having the multiplayer of any map between all of them at the same time is probably the bigger, juicier part than anything else. Because look at Titanfall. Titanfall has maybe maximum 25 to 30 maps, 25 maps or so. I'm just giving rough numbers in my head with all the expansion packs. You're doing about 100 maps, and you can switch your graphics with a switch of a button between old school and regular if you want to on your Xbox One. So I think it brings more enticing, and most likely they're going to bundle with an Xbox One bundle, Halo bundle.
Yeah, most likely it's going to be bundled in.
So you're going to see a lot of people just pick up the bundle because then
Halo Edition.
Halo Edition to be what, $3.99 or $4. I don't know how much it'll be, $3.99 or $4.49 or whatever the price will be, plus whatever Call of Duty game they'll buy with it. And they'll have a whole bunch of games to play right off the bat.
We have another question from Caleb Mack. It says, with the Xbox not performing great, will Halo have frame rate problems compared to Destiny, which runs at 30 frames per second?
My hope is that because this is Microsoft's sort of flagship franchise, that they'll be using this as a showpiece for how to develop properly for the Xbox One. I've spoken with some other AA and single A game developers recently, and apparently they're having minor, not tremendous, but minor issues developing for the Xbox One in certain libraries and certain dev tools not being as well fleshed out as they were for the Xbox 360. That's not an official quote from anyone. That's not super insider knowledge for anyone, but in comparing releases on very small games between the PS4 and the Xbox One, apparently there have been some developer issues moving there. If anyone can work through them, it should be the team behind Halo.
I'll put it this way: no Microsoft game made by Microsoft from launch runs slow. I have Forza that is actually 1080p and it's smooth. So all the in-house games really.
No, they're in-house games. Yeah. The only game that I think I had a slow issue with was it's exclusive to them. I don't think it's made. It's not made by Capcom, which was Dead Rising. But Dead Rising only runs slow when it's like 10,000 zombies sitting in the damn screen. I mean, I had to give a little bit of a break. I mean, even then, it doesn't even slow down that much. And most of the time, the game has worked absolutely.
And also, again, too, Microsoft has been pushing, and I think it's also this is probably where most of the developers aren't commenting properly. Is they've been pushing for developers to use their Azure servers because. Both games, aka Titanfall and Forza, use those servers to the T, which puts a lot of the load away from the console itself, especially because it's a multiplayer game. So you see much better performance, and the one reason I love playing that game is that everybody I race are my friends. And they tend to hit me all the time because everybody drives like jerks in Forza. So, I mean, I think that's one of the things that most developers are still not too keen on.
We should talk about racing games for a second. Go ahead and finish your quote, because I got a good thing about racing games.
And I think most people are not ready to move to that server-backed system yet, because with Titanfall, they jumped on it early, and they've been making tweaks on the game much faster than I've seen most other developers do tweaks on games. Because whenever they had issues, they were like, "Okay, fine, we'll do it this weekend, and then here's the patch," because it's all on server side. And I think that's probably the next level of gaming for especially home console gaming, because you're not going to be putting the most maximum processor in that thing. There's just no way you can keep up with that. But if you can keep it up on server side, then you literally have cloud-based computing working to your favor. For most of these home consoles. So we'll see how that turns out. But you're talking about racing games, Warren.
Yeah, because Mario Kart 8 sold 10 million units.
Mm-hmm.
10 million units.
But here's the downside: it did not push that many consoles.
It had to have, because it wasn't that many out. You can't push 10 million units and not push at least 40% of that in the consoles, dude. They didn't have that many. I don't think it even have that many.
They sold 7 million consoles, so I'm almost sure I can almost guarantee that there were 7 million copies of Mario Kart for those 7 million users, because I was one of them, and my thing was sitting in dust at home.
Yeah, but still, that still pushes 3 million more out.
I mean, it pushed 3 million consoles, yeah, but because I saw Nintendo briefing talk about losses again. That Mario Kart just didn't help them with their losses.
Well, Mario Kart is the second highest selling game globally to the 3DS game that's not here in the U.S. And the only game that outsold is The Last of Us Remastered. But I'm pretty sure isn't that game downloadable too?
Yeah, you can download it now.
Yeah, download it now. So that's probably a lot of PS4 owners downloading that, because there isn't any other major titles right now for them to play. So that and that was a game that probably a lot of people didn't play on PS3. So because it came out sort of too close to the end of it.
When was Mario Kart released?
It was released, I think, 2 months ago.
Engadget, The Verge has it. It sold 2.82 million copies of Mario Kart, so basically close to the 3 million of its 10 million.
That's still very good for a console that was struggling to sell 3 million in the middle of the summertime, when you really shouldn't. When nobody's really selling anything during the summertime, usually in the gaming industry. It's pretty good.
Yes and no. Mario Kart is like Halo. If Halo dropped in the summer, it should sell. Like Halo 5 dropped in the summer, it would sell Microsoft consoles. I don't know what the Sony equivalent will be. No Final Fantasy anymore. But I think what it shows to me is that what it is, the Nintendo Wii U customers were starving for Mario quality Nintendo games, and this was the first one in a while That's pretty much what it says. It's like,
You just
finally.
you just got to rain on the parade, don't you?
No,
Got to rain on the parade.
I'm looking at the
Now
numbers
you
of rain
cannot
now.
just let it just be. You can't let the Nintendo fans be happy. You gotta put rain on their parade and poop
No,
on
as
everything.
a Nintendo fan myself, when I bought their console, I want to see them succeed. I want to see them stop doing their stupidity and uselessness of just wasting our time. I mean, I don't want my console collecting dust. I want to actually play games. I mean, I enjoy playing Mario Kart because my friend comes over and we play all the time. I enjoy it, but I'm just saying that they should stop doing this rubbish of just like sporadically releasing almost nothing for a while, because consumers just can't have that, because then eventually you're going to lose the mindset of people just because you're not in tuned. Anyway, we have a lot of questions here in the Q&A. Let's see. Lou Rod says, thoughts on Sprint's new CEO changing pricing plan and calling for the network cap for what they have been charging. So Sprint CEO said there's going to be some changes, to aggressive pricing changes coming next week. So we presume on Sprint's event on Tuesday, the 19th. But he's also been calling for some network caps because they have unlimited plans. So what do you guys think?
It's just disappointing commentary from Sprint, because that was one of their last big talking points, was unlimited, and I still. It goes hand in hand with what they're saying, like, hey, we really need to work on more aggressive pricing, so they're going to start getting really aggressive with pricing just to try and match AT&T or T-Mobile, and then at the expense of the part of the service that I think Sprint customers were still most interested in. I think it was really telling that the new CEO really focused on this lower pricing, and then at the end of this sort of then started talking about, and we also really need to focus on network upgrades after that. And you're like, no, Sprint's network needs upgrades up front, and then you probably wouldn't need to be so aggressive with getting rid of your unlimited plans.
Mm-hmm. Warren?
I don't know. It looks like they're going the wrong way. They're doing the opposite of what T-Mobile did. Let's not upgrade our network, but let's just worry about aggressively pricing things, which the pricing will probably just clone what T-Mobile's doing. Very, very, very close to it, most likely. And getting rid of unlimited and data caps and stuff like that, which is something that they were known for, which a lot of people like to still be able to have. And now then they get rid of it, and joining these companies and then charging data, and eventually it's going to come full circle. We're going to be back to where we were before at some point or another, but it's just going to it's going to shrink a lot of customers for adding a lot of customers. You got to improve the service first, then worry about the pricing later. And if they're going to do it the other way around, unfortunately, you don't want to see. I like having more than one, more than two big carriers around. Nice to have 3 or 4 of them around, but if you're going in the opposite direction, this isn't going to keep you around for too much longer.
I mean, true. I think they should I definitely focus on aggressive pricing. That's cool. That's fine. Don't talk about data cap limits. Even though T-Mobile's, I think T-Mobile also mentioned some data cap limiting measures too this week. That was a little scary. Talk about, if you abuse your service, aka if you use it to download torrents, they will cap your data. I can understand that part, but that means that they will be capping other things at some point, and who knows, if I'm streaming off Netflix.
No, there's a huge difference in the bandwidth speed when you're streaming Netflix and when you're streaming specific content versus torrenting. You can tell the difference in the data stream coming down. So if they're capping something as heavy as torrents can be, which I don't know why anybody would be using wireless to download torrents, but if they are. I don't blame them for looking to cut those type of things, because that damages the overall network quality for everyone, not just it affects everyone in that case. It kills your data speed because they're going around torrenting, So I can understand that, but I don't see them capping other things, but things like that, which are 90% of the time made for illegal downloading, I can understand why they want to cap that.
Yeah. Mosey Man says, I might just buy an Xbox One again when Halo is coming out. It's such a console buyer, and Are there any other games that's going to be added to the access like UFC? See, there we go. That's somebody's going to buy the Xbox One because of Halo, right there.
There
You
we
got
go.
one, Microsoft. You got one gamer right there.
Yeah, thank you for
Congratulations.
proving our point. Lou Rod says TK Tech News has leaked photos of the Moto S, aka Nexus 6, on his YouTube channel.
Cool.
He just has images. TK Tech is the guy who basically is trying to replace what's his name? EVLeaks, yeah. But at least in his own, I do like what he said. He said, "Look, if you're willing to sell anything to me, I will buy it, and I will leak it for you." So
All
at
right.
least he's clearly come out and said, "This is what I'm trying to do," and it's fine. I'm cool with it as long as he's clearly stating his motives and we know where his angle is coming from. But I saw its images and I'm not too sure exactly what it is specifically altogether. And then RBM Entertainment says MS has money to push 343 and Halo more than Activision can with Destiny. Some people believe promotion from MS was the main reason Halo was successful. Yeah, MS.
Yeah, I agree with that, but don't worry, Sony will throw some money in there too. They practically said the damn thing is an exclusive for Sony and happens to actually be on the Xbox One. All would say. I mean, really, they have, and that's not just an Activision thing or a Sony thing. That is a Bungie thing as well too. They have a lot of resentment towards Microsoft, which I mean, I can understand some things towards that. But at the end of the day, you are not Bungie without them. They bought you, they made you, and then they let you go out whole. So what if they took the Halo franchise? You should be. This is going to prove how good of a developer they are. If this Destiny game takes off and takes off big. And if it doesn't, and if it just becomes one of those other games out there that are just like another Call of Duty clone,
I
wonder. Activision is demanding on the numbers that they want. They're not like Microsoft will take a certain, they'll take a certain average number and be okay with it. And Activision is going to want a monster hit.
No, Destiny will be a hit. Destiny will be a hit. It's already been positioned. Look, once the gaming media has been, to me, skewed in that direction, that's going to be a hit. It's going to be a hit. From all indications, everybody, is the reason why when we did our hands-on game through at E3, one of the things that Sam was saying is like he doesn't like the controls. People are like, "What do you mean about controls?" He's like, it's hard to explain, but like certain things just are not smooth enough, and it's also very indicative of a very Halo type control. A lot of people like Halo, but to me, as a first-person shooter, Halo controls to me were just off completely. I just didn't like it. I prefer what Call of Duty does and what Titanfall does. It's much smoother arrange.
I think all was a shooter. Sucked, but that's just me.
But Destiny is not even a first-person shooter. It's actually basically it's a first-person MMO shooter. That's what it is. It's more like an RPG than anything.
Give me a real gun and let's see how many of you kids last now.
So as Warren throws in a lot of first-person shooter resentment. Hey,
so cranky.
Because they're not real. The people think they're good shooters when they play these games, and I'm like, no, they're terribly bad, terribly, terribly bad. It's like Jesus, like just.
All right. So anyway, as I was saying,
but no, some of these guys that play these games think they can shoot guns for real. Like they think they could go out there and do this for real, and I'm like, no, you cannot. No, and I'm not even a great shooter. I don't even consider myself a great shooter at all. But no, you cannot do that.
All right, cool. Let's leave the shooting away into real games, not real life.
Real games, isn't that an oxymoron?
Anyway, so I think Destiny would do well. It's going to be a hit just because it's already positioned that way in terms of media. It's been positioned that way in how they're trying to sell it to the best-selling console that is right now. So I think it would do well. Do you think it's not going to do well, or do you think it's going to be off one?
Do I think that Destiny's not going to do well, or
as a monster hit? Sorry.
Well, again, I mean, like I think the reason why we're hearing about the budget and they're actually responding to some of these stories that are coming out about how much money's moving around is, I think Activision is trying to keep expectations in check because we've gotten really hyped up about games in the past. We've seen how a Titanfall can underperform even when it's got this amazing media buzz, and I think they really want to build a franchise, which if you're looking long term, which I think too few companies actually really do examine a generation of gaming as opposed to just the next fiscal quarter of gaming, then you've got to prepare your audience for certain growth, and you can't just go out there and say this game's going to sell like Call of Duty, and we think it's going to be the next big Halo hit, because then it sets up all these unfair comparisons between games that are established and have fan bases and are already selling like crazy. So I think when they come out and say, yes, this $500 million number is real, but it's not the number for one game, what they're trying to do is say, we think this is going to be successful, and it's going to be successful within a certain range so that we can expect the next game to sell more, and then the next game to sell more than that. And it's kind of what they did with some of their other properties, like Skylanders. You know, they piggybacked it on the back of a known IP with Spyro, and then that has become a monster property for Activision. Yeah. But it wasn't that they went out there and said, this game is Spyro, so it's going to be one of the best-selling kids games of all time. They slow played that into, I think, one of their most successful franchises.
I think the other thing too with Destiny is that it's got the wrong comparison. You know, like Warren's comparing it to a first-person shooter. It really isn't. What it is, it's Mass Effect for Activision. That's what it is.
That's really the sense that I got, was that it was Mass Effect with some first-person-y elements, not a first-person shooter with some Mass Effect elements.
Yeah, it's more Mass Effect than anything. And to me, is can they deliver the story that, you know, helped Mass Effect go a long way. Now, Mass Effect was, you know, is made, you know, is on the EA, but was made by the KOTOR team, the guys who did KOTOR, BioWare. So, you know, the storyline in Mass Effect is what engaged a lot of people. I loved the story in Mass Effect. The only reason I even played the game mostly was just so I could get to the story elements of the game, just to see what was going on. So, if they can, yeah, they can definitely do that. And it's funny, as we're talking about this, Motley Fool, I went to Motley Fool. The first thing there is 3 games that will make or break Activision this year. and the 3 games were Destiny, Skylanders, and of course Call of Duty. We all know Call of Duty is set and it's a wrap over there. Skylanders is pretty much getting close to that category, and you know, Destiny is the one that we don't know where it would stand altogether. But it'll be interesting to see how those numbers, you know, like Warren was saying, stacks up to Halo in just some kind of, you know, comparison level.
And I think Call of Duty's numbers will be really interesting this year, because there's been a lot of grumbling about day zero editions and pre-sales, and I think Call of Duty is going to be the first test case in a world where you don't have to give your money to GameStop a month in advance and then wait in line at midnight to pick up a physical hard copy of the game. And I think once we start seeing sales numbers from that, which I think will be a little cooler than the market really wants for a Call of Duty title, especially after following up Ghosts, I think it'll be really curious. I'll be really curious to see what Activision's response is to that.
Yeah, you know, I think they might release their numbers at the end of the week. I mean, they're already doing pre-sales.
They'll have to. Now. They'll have to release their numbers at the end of the week, because people want to know if
exactly. And they'll just say, you know, within the first week plus pre-orders, you know, we sold how many X amount of copies altogether. Yeah. So moving on to some entertainment stuff. Robin Williams died this year. Not this year. This week.
Well, yeah, he did pass away this year, but it was more recent than. Yeah.
This week, and you know, it was sad. One thing I will mention is, you know what, people should stop. This is another uselessness again. People should stop being useless on the web. You know, he passed away, and his daughter got inundated. His daughter's name is Zelda, with so much crap on Twitter. You know, whether you have something against people, you know, allegedly committing suicide in his case, or whatever the case may be, you don't go and bash the guy's daughter. You don't go and do stupid things like that just because you're trying to prove a point when you're behind.
You don't attack the family, and that's just
exactly
ridiculous.
You know, when you're, you know, so I'm urging people to understand and take restraint, especially moving on in the future, because the honest thing is that if you were in that situation, you wouldn't want that to happen to anyone in your family, members of your family, whether it's you or other members of your family.
And it just seemed like an odd target, because we're not talking about some fascist dictator. We're not talking about, you know, the patriarch of the Westboro Baptist Church. we're talking about Robin Williams. I mean, what ire do you have towards Robin Williams' family? That's what I didn't really understand. The people going out of their way to make the survivors of the family members of Robin Williams cause them more grief.
Yeah.
He was the voice of the genie in Aladdin. Maybe you didn't like all of his movies. What was it that did Robin Williams kill your mother? No, he didn't. What grudge did you have against this guy that you went after his daughter? So that really to me became the more shocking aspect of that sort of proved the whole, like, there are people who exist on the internet solely to troll, and we know they exist. But even the passing of Robin Williams drew them out to make someone's life hell, and that's why we can't have nice things.
It's true. It really is. It's annoying. I was going to ask, what was your favorite Robin Williams movie? For me, I'll start off first. It was Aladdin. You know, I mean, he was great as. I didn't know till like maybe, God knows, maybe at least. Actually, only until I came to the U.S. then I realized it was him as the genie. I had no idea. I was like,
He did it for the movie and the TV show. He did it for the TV show.
I was like, oh, whoever played this was great, but I had no idea it was him. How about you guys?
Dan Castellaneta did the genie in Aladdin 2, but Robin Williams came back for Aladdin 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's tough, because the Dead Poets Society was extremely influential. I love Good Morning Vietnam. I just think it's a wonderful story. But I also was sort of raised on Nick at Night as a little kid, so I grew up watching reruns of Mork and Mindy, and that was sort of like little kid grown up live action slapstick, and it's still a fantastic show in that really great sort of innocent, naive late 70s, early 80s sitcom style production. There are just so many. I think I'd probably default with Dead Poets Society being one of my all-time favorite performances of his, but he turned it around and nailed some phenomenal dramatic roles later in his career too, which it's an entire catalog of cinema that I think is like, I need to just do a movie marathon for the next month. Just go back, because there are so many wonderful performances, even in some of those stranger films like Insomnia. His performance in Insomnia.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot who was in that with Al Pacino, right? Yeah, that was what's his name? Director.
Chris Nolan.
Chris Nolan, yeah. That was his second movie after.
It was an adaptation, not an adaptation. What do you call that? It was a remake of a wonderful Norwegian film. I don't remember. It's got Stellan Skarsgård in it, but yeah, sorry. Robin Williams, he stands as one of those performers where, if you're close to my age, you don't know of a world where Robin Williams didn't exist. You probably encountered his comedy, encountered his films, encountered his stand-up, his TV shows, probably helped inform what was funny. Like, you learned what was funny, and he was one of the instruments that taught you what was funny. And going back to his early stand-up, even his later stand-up, is really sort of a joyous exercise, and I would recommend everyone go do it.
Cool. How about you, Warren?
First off, I guess I want to start off with trolls just need to stop. Stop being a troll. Nobody likes trolls on the internet. Go away. You don't need to be on here. It's plain and simple. Go the fuck away. Seriously. But Robin Williams' roles, he has so many roles. I think the role most people are gonna pop in their head is probably when you mention Robin, it's probably be Good Will Hunting will be the first thing that a lot of people will probably pop into their head. I think it was not an Academy Award winning film.
He won an Oscar for that, right?
I think he won an Oscar for he won Best Supporting Actor, it won Best Picture, and it won Best Written Screenplay. And that's probably the one that a lot of people will pop in their head. But growing up as a kid in Robin Williams, there's two movies that stand out. It's Mrs. Doubtfire and Hook. Are the two movies that I think stand out the most.
Hook. Yeah. And Mrs. Doubtfire too, though, was I agree with you. Mrs. Doubtfire is one of those. I was like, wow. I mean, like, he and Eddie Murphy are the very few people who do that, jump into another body,
Yeah.
and then give you that character, because it wasn't just he wore a fat suit or he dressed as a woman. No, he became Mrs. Doubtfire, and that was the cool thing about it. Like it was okay. Like if you didn't see, the beginning of the movie and you jumped in like in the
Yeah.
middle, you're like, okay, this nanny's a little bit tough, man. It's like,
Oh yeah, no, it's,
whatever the case, and you're like, oh, that's Robin Williams. You're like, no way, really?
It's like, but think about Mrs. Doubtfire, and it influences a lot of other things, such as Tyler Perry doing Miss Medea. I mean, it's more over the top that she is. You can't deny that if Mrs. Doubtfire wasn't around, that character would be around.
Well, and
in
also
any way, shape, or
I
form.
love that Mrs. Doubtfire has there's like a heart to the story that in future films that have done gender bending, like a man playing a woman's role, feels more like a gimmick. Whereas Mrs. Doubtfire, there were reasons why he was doing this, and then it brought you into the story in a very different way, and it was meaningful. I mean, it's still slapsticky and goofy and silly, and he smashes a pie in his face. I mean, a cake in his face. But it's still like you still cared why he was doing this, as opposed to it just being a gimmick.
And that's the difference between a lot of his comedy or good comics in general. He wasn't just there to be slapped. It wasn't just slapped together slapstick comedy with no meaning or purpose. Most of his movies had a genuine theme, a genuine story behind it that mattered. There was something there that kept you watching the movie. It just wasn't something put together in 5 minutes and you're just watching this guy, watching a comedian just goof off. You're watching the comedian goof off in a movie. No, it's him acting in the movie and a serious, there's a serious plot and everything behind it.
What's the one where he was a doctor?
Patch Adams.
Patch Adams.
Yes, I love. I keep forgetting the name. I love that just because I remember the time when I wanted to go to med school. Yeah, it was a long time ago. And I always wanted to be that kind of doctor, just because I've worked in hospitals, and no offense to my friends who are doctors, man, it's like a stiff house. Everyone's like just so depressing. And seeing that, and finding that that was like loosely based off a true story. It was like, this is the kind of guy that I wanted to be like, just because when you're in a hospital, it's already depressing anyway, right? You've been there, so you want to have somebody to try and lift you up, try and at least give you some kind of hope, other than you telling yourself, I'm going to be better, but at least somebody else there is also supporting you. So that was also another movie that I definitely enjoyed and liked. So. Yeah. So I mean, he will be missed, and our heart goes out to his family and his daughter, and again, like Warren said,
and maybe one of the best pieces of advice he ever delivered. Words to live your life by. When in doubt, go for the dick joke. I love it. There's, so many amazing quotes from Robin Williams that
I just say, don't do that at a job interview when you're in doubt.
No, I like it's words to live by. I think it's brilliant life advice.
Imagine this is like, what's the best lesson you've learned in your life? Something that Robin Williams once said.
I believe it was Mr. Williams who once said.
When in doubt, always go. I'm telling you, you'll be out of there. They're like, get out.
Go.
Exactly. And there's one more entertainment thing, unless you guys have anything else I threw in, which I thought was interesting, is there's a movie that Arnold is coming out. It's a zombie drama, which we know Arnold being the action guy. He's in Expendables, all the different action movies. And he's in the movie called the project's called Maggie, and it's about him being a Midwest farmer, who's of Austrian descent, that
like you are.
Yes, that is watching his daughter transform slowly into a zombie while there's a zombie apocalypse happening. But it's really centered about him and his daughter, at the farm, which I thought was interesting, just because Arnold doesn't do many, or almost has never done any indie as well as smaller projects. It's always big, altogether. So I just just wondering what your thoughts of Arnold, I guess, moving in this direction. So
No, I think he needs to, because after taking time off to be a politician, getting his movie career back up and running, he's a little too old to be just doing action movie after action movie after action movie. So if he doesn't diversify his portfolio, we're not going to see a very long-lived return career from Mr. Schwarzenegger.
But it's weird for him if he's looking to go back full time, or if he's at the stage in his career. He's doing like 1 or 2 movies a year, and that's about all he's gonna do. I don't think he has.
No, I think he's trying to make a concerted push, because
I know he is, but I'm just thinking about, dude,
And he won't be able to make those 1 or 2 movies a year if his movies aren't making money, or if he's not.
That's the thing too.
If he's commanding too high a payday to come back to do movies. And of the movies that he's come out with recently, I think The Expendables, which actually there's a question in the comments about The Expendables, which we should cover before we take off. Okay. The Expendables notwithstanding, the rest of these Arnold movies coming back haven't really been tremendously successful. They haven't generated as much income as we would hope that an Arnold Schwarzenegger return would. And then it's whether or not he goes back to doing more Terminator films, because that's what people.
That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. But at the end of the day, that's what he's known for, though, because any other role that he's been known for, he's either too old to play it. It's already been rebooted with someone else.
And the problem with that is that it's not sustainable because he's older. So to see him turn around and try something different, and this zombie drama sounds like an interesting turn for him, could help sort of pad out what it is that we could potentially see from future Arnold films. I don't think that this movie goes on to do tremendous numbers, but also it's a lower budget film. You can keep your expectations in check. You can take an experiment with Schwarzenegger, and if it turns out to be a halfway decent film, then he'll be considered for other roles that he might have been overlooked on in the past. And the story is a pretty interesting story. It's one that we've seen French filmmakers tackle. There's a movie called Monsters, which I think still might be up on Netflix, about watching someone become something else. And then there's always the French do an amazing job in their cinema with dealing with loss. There's the Revenant.
It's supposed to be a serious film, or more of a.
Well, no, it's going to be a more serious, and especially looking at the screen grabs, they're all very stoic and.
Okay, because I'm sorry, the plot you just said it to me sounds like, oh, they couldn't find what's his name, what the heck is his name? Evil Dead dude. It's that's what the plot sounds like, though.
It sounds like it's a return to that sort of the not zombies as evil monsters, and you just got to run and gun, and it's going to be all gory. It's the human element behind it. And
I mean, if you look at this movie, this is actually, the idea of the movie is great. For one thing, is you are very limited in your budget, so it takes place in one place, really. It's farmland, so you get a farmland, and because it's in the Midwest, you're guaranteed not to find too many zombies coming at you directly. It's not like you're in the city, right? Where so this is almost like exactly. So this is like taking a piece of Walking Dead, one aspect of the show where somebody, when they were in the farmland, and placing him as the father, who was probably, he's a big guy, so basically he can handle himself, his daughter Cat, and he's trying to protect her as he's still watching. He doesn't have.
He's failed to protect her. I mean, that's what's interesting, is giving it up right from the very beginning. Is his job? He's already failed at his job, and you have to then watch him deal with the consequences. And especially an older Arnold Schwarzenegger, who has become a better performer than he was when he was younger.
Get to the chopper. There's none of those lines in this movie.
Hey, grab my hand. I will save you. It's like, I love it. In Last Action Hero and in True Lies, he has almost exactly the same lines. Like, Dana, grab my hand, Daddy will save you. And then, Danny, grab my hand, I will save you.
Wasn't it made by the same company? I think weren't they made?
No, True Lies was James Cameron. James Cameron did not do Last Action Hero.
Last Action Hero. I watched that on Laserdisc. Yeah.
I thought I had made up Last Action Hero. For a good 2 or 3 years of my life, I hadn't met anyone else who had seen it. And I would talk about, that movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Last Action Hero. He's like, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen that movie. And I'm like, oh my God, I think I maybe just made up this whole film.
Yeah. Anyway, you were talking about the Expendables code.
Yeah, we had a comment from, I think it was from Lou?
Yeah, it was Lou Rod.
Actually ties back into some tech stuff too, because Lurod76, is it possible that the release of Expendables a few weeks back, the Expendables 3 was leaked on torrent sites, and it was a big deal because it wasn't a cam rip, it was an actual DVD rip from one of the internal screeners. And is it possible the release of Expendables a few weeks back ruined its chances of making good money? And one, I hope not, because the Expendables are the best live-action Looney Tune cartoons I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So they're so over the top. I kind of hope it does well. But then also, this could be an interesting test case for what happened in the music industry during Napster. And that was artists started selling more when Napster was around because there was this amazing music discovery system. And I'm kind of hoping that something similar happens with films, that there will be, it won't be a most situation, it probably won't even be a many situation, but that some people who downloaded this torrent of the Expendables 3 might consider going to see it in the theaters just because it's a big, loud, dumb, funny spectacle film that you kind of want to see with big, dumb, loud speakers and a big, dumb, loud screen.
When was it supposed to come out again?
It's out this weekend.
This weekend. No, but it was back. Wasn't it back?
No. The original date was this weekend. It's just it was leaked roughly
almost a month ago.
And it was almost Blu-ray quality, not even DVD. It was basically just a straight up fresh leak, like the movie from beginning to end. So Lou Rod also posted Friday numbers. Ninja Turtles 7.9, Guardians 6.95, Expendables 5.8. He says tanks. I don't think tanks. I think those numbers are close just because Ninja Turtles will do well because kids are about to go to school, and these is probably one of the last few movies they can watch.
It's about to go back to school.
And Guardians of the Galaxy, of course, is going to be doing well since it started off well too. And if it comes in third, that's not bad. Especially you're looking at guys that most of the younger generation never watched most of these guys on screen like we did. Most people now never watched Passenger 57 with Wesley Snipes.
Right.
They never watched the Dolph Lundgren movies, or stuff like that. So if it's doing 5.8 and it's coming third, that's not a bad thing.
It's also Friday numbers. You gotta still have the big day on Saturday, and Sunday, which a lot of people are going to be going.
And I'm trying to pull it up, but the thing is, you have to temper expectations with a movie that's almost grindhouse and rated R at the end of the summer versus a PG-13. Is that what Guardians is?
No. Expendables is PG-13 also.
Yeah.
No. But I mean, like the whole aesthetic. You're right. It's not rated R, but the whole aesthetic behind Expendables is that it's for grown-ups against two films that are. One is definitely for kids, and one is probably one of the most all-ages movie-going experiences I've seen in a long time. So any reasonable parent is going to be who's going to be taking their kids to the theater before
Ninja
school starts.
Yeah.
Any reasonable parent is not going to look at the Expendables and go, "Oh, that's the movie I'm going to take my little kids to go."
They're going to choose the little raccoon over that. So.
Yep. So I'm trying to find. I don't know what opening weekend. I was trying to find opening weekend numbers for Expendables.
Even though that raccoon
Expendables 1, August 13th. Budget was $80 million. Let me see. Its total U.S. gross was 103. Let's see what the daily was for it. It opened up Friday at $13 million. That was
okay. So if it's opening weekend that was Expendables 1 or Expendables 2?
Expendables 1. Expendables 2.
During its opening weekend, Expendables 2 earned $25 million. Oh, Expendables 2 earned $10.5 million on its opening day. So its opening day, if we're saying Friday was opening day for Expendables 3, then we are talking about a significant hit. But that also could just be
competition.
The decline, competition, but also the decline of the franchise. Because Expendables 2, I don't think did as well as Expendables 1. And so
Expendables 2 did $305 million worldwide, and Expendables 1 did $274. So the second one made more money.
Oh, but I mean on opening weekend. That's what I'm trying to look up is opening weekend days. If we're seeing a drop off on opening weekends. I think long term, this movie's still probably going to be in the same ballpark, probably 100 million domestic, 300 million worldwide, and that seems to be fairly consistent with what the rest of the franchise has done.
Yeah. Um, 35. Oh, okay. It's been declining. So Expendables 1 weekend 1 did 35 million. Expendables 2 the first weekend did 28 million. So we're looking at probably roughly it might be close to 20 million weekend for it.
And actually, that would be consistent with a $5 million opening day. And I
Yeah.
don't think that would be indicative of the torrent leak. And so, especially, what was it? Expendables 2 had to go up against... Oh, no, it was trying to say it made it the 8th highest grossing film of 2012. All right, so never mind. I was going to say, like, if it had to go up against a film like The Dark Knight Rises or something like that,
No.
the same situation here. But again, I mean, we're still going up against a very strong performing Guardians of the Galaxy, which, again, I might go see that movie again this weekend. I don't know. And then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Turtles, which is doing very well.
God, it made me so mad it outperformed Guardians. It's such bullshit.
I'm happy it did. I'm fine. I'm fine with that. As long as they change Megan Fox in the sequel, I'm just praying for that. So that's just all I gotta say.
I'm still not tempted to pay money into that. That's ruining childhood. I'm good. I'm good.
It's not a ruined childhood.
I'm sorry. It's if you grew up in the U.S. and you were on Ninja Turtles, that thing just no.
No, if you grew up in if you grew up in the U.S., that is Ninja Turtles. The Turtles themselves are Ninja Turtles. They did an excellent job at that. The human beings, that's a whole different case entirely, completely.
Well, the turtles are going to be the turtles. You can't really mess that up. It's just everything else around.
You can mess. Transformers is one, okay?
Yeah, no, that's Transformers.
I'm saying I grew up with Transformers. And
there's four turtles versus 30 different Transformers they have in that.
Optimus Prime, a mess. Megatron, a mess, and Bumblebee. Just 3. That's all I even want. You can mess up everybody else. You just messed up 3.
Well, you're talking about it. You got talking about a franchise. There's probably the closest in equation to it is probably like X-Men, where there's so many different variants and versions of Transformers. They're bound to get majority of them wrong versus right. There's just too many.
But when in
Transformers, look at X-Men. There's too many.
No, in Transformers, in every iteration, Optimus Prime and Megatron are literally the same. Comics, cartoons, all the cartoons they've had over the years, still the same characters. They've messed them up, and Bumblebee too. I'm just saying. So it's just 3. You can mess up everybody else, and people complain about side characters, but your main characters always have to at least still stay close, which is what X-Men did until they just finally fixed the problem altogether. So anyway, let's round it up. Any more Q&A questions? We had a few Q&A questions, right? Let's see. What do we have here? So Caleb Mack says, with Turtle Beach releasing new DTS 7.1 headset, as well as Sony, will other manufacturers start making premium hardware for Xbox and PlayStation 2? I would say so, yeah. I mean, it only makes sense now that the consoles are now going to, through a full year, and also you're getting to the second holiday season for the console. So, let's see why not. Let's see. Arnold needs to get to the chopper. Ludroad 76.
Get to the chopper. Yeah.
He also said box.
I don't do a very good Arnold Schwarzenegger. I just have that one little glottal thing that you can thing. That's all I can really do.
Okay, and all right. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you very much for all the comments and questions. We have another giveaway for this week. And this week we are giving away a Spigen Samsung Galaxy S5 Wallet S case. So if you have an S5 or you just want to win it, you can enter into the contest. Rules are always very simple, and again, this is limited to the U.S. for now. Sorry, guys. We will have one for you international users, viewers very soon. But first of all, you have to subscribe to all the channels here: BW1, Some Gadget Guy, as well as Bored at Work, or else you're not entered to win. That's the first way to enter. And the giveaway is pretty easy this week. In celebration of Robin Williams. What's your favorite Robin Williams movie? Very simple. I mean, there's no right or wrong. We're just going to pick randomly. So It's an easy one to get into, enter into the contest. So just subscribe to all 3 channels and then let us know your favorite Robin Williams movie. If you want to expand it, sure, but we're picking at random, and that's pretty much the giveaway for the week. And we're
not going to make that one like this last week was we wanted to pick our favorite, of the comments that you guys submitted. We're not going to make that, oh, I disagree. I thought Patch Adams was horrible. You don't win. It'll be a random draw for this week.
Yeah, random. So, guys, what can people expect from you next week? Warren, what's going to be new on the channel? What can people expect to see? What's the hype?
I have a bunch of accessory videos that are going to be coming up soon. So, some headsets, some Bluetooth speakers and such. So, be on the lookout for that coming down.
All right, some accessory-filled week at BW1, so definitely go check it out. And you, Mr. Juan Bagnell, birthday boy, what can we expect from you? Nothing today, I presume, right? Other than this.
Today's actually I'm going to a friend's wedding today, so my birthday is
Me too.
A friend's wedding. So it's wedding day apparently. My birthday is an amazing day to get married, and it's also I was born on the 3rd anniversary of Elvis's passing, so that's always sad too. I'm gonna be doing my summer wrap up for the Galaxy S5 Active. I've been spending a couple months playing with the S5 Active and just sort of sharing my thoughts on what it's been like using that phone long term. And then I also want to throw a shout out to the folks at Photo Jojo because they sent one of their lens kits for smartphones. And I know a lot of people are familiar with devices like the Holo Clip for the iPhone, but if you don't have an iPhone, you need some other type of lens or camera solution. And the one thing that I haven't seen these used online are pairing them up with Nokias. So I've been spending time shooting photos and videos with these different lens adapters on the 1020 and the 1520 because why not pair them up with some of the best cameras ever bolted onto a smartphone? And so I'm going to be sharing also on like Instagram and Google+. I've been sharing photos, and then I'll be compiling all of that into some video reviews for these just so you can see what the output looks like in a variety of different shooting scenarios.
All right. Cool. And for me, more stuff from the Amazon Fire Phone, hot like fire. And we'll have a review of the OnePlus One sometime next week and a few accessories. So stay tuned, guys. Thank you very much. Again, don't forget to enter into the giveaway. Subscribe to all 3 channels. BW1, Some Gadget Guy, as well as Bored at Work, and just let us know your favorite Robin Williams movie, and that's pretty much it. You can check out everyone's channel. Some Gadget Guy is Some Gadget Guy on YouTube, and also follow him on his different social media outlets. What are they again? Because I know I do confuse them because somebody has.
Oh yeah, and I have way too many Google accounts. I'm just Juan Carlos Bagnell, and if you search for my name, you'll find that little Optimus Prime that you see here on my lower third, and that's me on the Googles Plus, and then on Twitter, I'm Some Gadget Guy. So there you can find me there. And if you search for YouTube Some Gadget Guy, you'll find me. I'm pretty easy to find.
All right, cool. And Mr. Warren Bowman at BW1.com. You can find me on YouTube, BW1.com. Also on Twitter, it is BW1.com. And Instagram, it is...
Myself. I don't have... The does not have an Instagram account. And I don't know when that's going to happen. I mean, the day that the Instagram app itself supports multiple accounts, maybe we'll get to that point. But
no, that would be a happy day because I'm tired of juggling back and forth between.
I only have one. I do keep one. But anyway, and also Bored at Work. It's Bored at Work on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So thank you much, guys, for joining. Thank you, everyone, for leaving comments and participating. Till next week, this is Thunder E saying thank you and always enjoy entertainment.
Bam.